Rich Lieberman on the Bay Area Media Pulse. I've got my fingerprints, my DNA, my overall body. Boy, did I just make myself sound so impressive. Oh my God. So I'm going to talk about KCBS. As you know, for those of you who watch me or have read me in the past, I have been very critical of KCBS, a monopoly for emphasis, the Bay Area's radio station that has news. It's a joke. It's getting better. That's not saying much, but it's getting better. But let me go into a few loose ends. Okay. Number one, I guess Margie Schaefer will, temporarily at least, be solo anchoring the morning news drive, which I think is a mistake. I don't dislike nor think Margie Schaefer is not capable of being a decent anchor. I just don't think she could carry a morning news drive by herself. Apparently, she feels the same way. She's told various people. It's a lot of demand. It's a lot of talk about support. It's a lot of responsibility. Again, could she do it? Of course. But now that Eric Thomas is leaving sooner rather than later, she's going to be solo. Now, that's much of an economic move than anything else, not adding a second anchor. I have said privately to various people what they ought to do. Mr. Foley, the news director who works under Jenny Seelig, is to add Matt Bigler, a very capable reporter. He's been there for a long time at KCBS. Put him on in the morning. Then you'd have a very strong duo. Yes, you'd have to probably put another reporter on staff, but you could probably do that. Would be very minimal. They're out there. It would add a little brevity, would add for a little bit more, shall we say, support and for overall betterment of the morning drive. But again, sorry, folks, for repeating myself, but it's evident here. You're a monopoly. You get away with this type of stuff. They could do whatever they want. They had a very, very good August book, they being KCBS. But August is a meek month. A lot of people are on vacation. A lot of people are not listening to the radio. The smartphones are doing okay, as they always do. My point is, let's see how they do as they go into fall and into the winter, okay? Mr. Foley, you need advice. I know you came from Houston and Dallas, and you have a good reputation. You worked in Washington, D.C. at a major radio station there. KCBS needs reform. It is getting by because it has no competition. They were lucky the other night when they had the big earthquake Sunday into Monday morning. I felt it too, by the way. They had Peter Finch on. I've been critical of Peter Finch over the years, but based on everything else and based on the type of personnel that they have, like Mary, oh my God, Hughes, thank God Peter Finch was on that time of the wee hours of Monday morning to do good job, Peter Finch, to do and navigate through a breaking news story like the earthquake. We didn't know at the time that it was going to be bigger than a low to moderate earthquake, which it was. Rattled a lot of nerves. You took calls. You had capability from a very good editor. I don't know her last name, but I believe her name is Elle. Good job. That's what functioning radio news apparatus does. I can only imagine. I shudder to think what it would have been like if Mary Hughes was on the air, because Mary Hughes is awful, is brutal. Speaking of reporters, I'm hearing it from a lot of people that Raquel Maria Dillon had had enough of Jenny Seelig. Basically told her to go, you know where, till the sun doesn't shine. She's not the only one. She's the only one who told Jenny Seelig how she thought and basically quit, did Raquel Maria Dillon. And I'm not saying Raquel Maria Dillon is some fine, terrific reporter. She was average at best. But the fact that she got fed up with Jenny Seelig and her pecking order, and the fact that supposedly Raquel Maria Dillon told others at KCBS that she was tired of being her, Seelig's, whipping boy, tells you all you need to know what's happening at KCBS. Jenny Seelig rules by intimidation and by a pecking order, which is not very cool. She doesn't put the best people on. She hires based on gender. There's like 3 guys at KCBS and about 30,000 women. I'm being somewhat joking, of course. So Jenny Seelig has this philosophy, and she rules by intimidation. She also rules by pecking order. She knows that she can get away with it by now. They're not going to get rid of her. Foley also knows this, so he has to navigate through all this crap and deal with a news personnel force that is not that all happy. Even her amen quarter, Seelig's, is not happy. But what do they say? You carry on. You do the best job possible. You work with what you have to work with. And once again, when you have a monopoly, when you're able to compete without having any competition, it lessens your own internal drive, your ability to move and to move within and to get better and not placate, which is what happens at KCBS. The guy in the afternoon, the guy that I mimic all the time, who came from WCBS in New York, Steve Scott. I'm Steve Scott. Well, based on all the other people there, of course he's okay. Of course he's better than mediocre. But when you talk like this and you do really kiss-ass interviews with a BART PR person, you're going to get criticism beyond the normal amount of criticism. What they ought to do there, too, they can leave the afternoon drive solo. But now that Brett Burkhart is gone, I would seriously consider, Mr. Foley, adding somebody at the afternoon drive, much like when Patty Rising was there. And when he was working, or she was working, with Jeff Bell. But that's not going to happen anytime soon. A lot of what's taking place at all the Odyssey stations, including KCBS, including KNX, is everything is based upon financial being. Financial. Everything is financial. Only big difference. KNX is a major news operation. It still has gravitas. It has recognition. KCBS is a joke. Getting better, which is not saying much, but Foley, do what they hired you to do. Make some changes. Look at the overnight. Quit putting things like double anchors on Saturday. Save money? Don't save money there, right? Why do you have 2 anchors on Saturday morning with Clancy and Jennifer Hodges, who, by the way, still gives sports scores on Saturdays as if she's giving tennis scores backwards? She once referred to a Giants loss as the Giants lost 3-6. She still says that. Nobody went up to her and says, that's a mistake. You can't do that. Because nobody at KCBS says, you know what? That was a mistake. I'm going to have to tell Jennifer Hodges, you don't give sports scores. And by the way, lastly, why do you even have a sports anchor on? The guy, I'm Stephen Langford, and I talk like this. He has no personality. He's on in the morning. They use him the rest of the day and the week. He gives taped sports stories when there's no sports story. It's a waste of time. KNX does not have sports anchors. when there's a big story, if the Dodgers win a World Series, if the Lakers win, if one of the football teams goes to a Super Bowl, obviously, yes, they break into regular programming and they have a sports announcement. People are not tuning in to KCBS, Mr. Foley and others, Miss Seelig, to hear sports updates, which you don't give anyway most of the time. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money. Take that monetary glove and use it for something else. I'm Rich Lieberman. Please do watch me all the time here talk about Bay Area media and then some. It isn't a lot, but I try to make the most of it. Become a subscriber on my YouTube channel. Email me, rich.lieberman@gmail.com. If you have salient points, if you want to give me some feedback, if you want to say whatever you want to say, if you have a tip, I respect the fact that a lot of you who want to give me a tip, maybe you work at Bay Area media places, you want to remain anonymous, that's cool. Let me know. You will remain anonymous. Hey, have yourself a great, wait, am I talking like Steve Scott? I really don't want to talk like Steve Scott, but what the hell? It happens to be a really hot day. Maybe it went to my head. I'm not Steve Scott, but going to take a little bit of a break, and we will see you later.